Hello everybody, Shocking into 1000 reporting for Duty. Welcome you back to another episode of Pokemon Legends Arceus. Last time we went through the tutorial phase of how to catch Pokemon and also telling us the story about the inhabitants in trying to figure out the livelihood of Pokemon that they seem to be struggling doing because they seem to not be able to successfully catch a single Pokemon until we happen to show up. This time, we have been told to head into this hut for our character to fall asleep and to begin to start a new day in order to help the Galaxy Expedition team in figuring out their troubles. Sorry, I was actually feeling a little bit of a wind popping up there because I was finishing my dinner. Checking survey tips. Survey tips contain all sorts of useful information to help you carry out your survey work in the Hisui region. To read them at any time, simply press the up button to open the menu, then go to Help Screen. We won't be doing that. We're going to rest. And upon resting, you get this cutscene. The next day, hey in there, you awake? That was some wild lightning last night, right? Anyway, if you're up, come on out. Now, this is actually something I think is common in, I think it's China, if not Japan. But you notice how on these wooden boards, your character is actually walking around barefoot, but the very second you step off, you suddenly put shoes on, step back on, and you suddenly take them off again. Yeah, standard tradition, I think it probably is Japan actually, standard tradition of you have to take your sandals or feet off when walking up these wooden planks to sit, possibly on your knees, or cross-legged. I think it's on your knees actually, to like have a spot of tea or food on that cooked pot that sits above a campfire that's directly underneath it. I've never been to Japan to actually eyewitness any of this, so I do not know. Did you sleep at all? I know that's not easy in a strange new land. We better not keep Captain Silene waiting. Let's hurry to headquarters. So let's rush on over. Here we are, Galaxy Hall. What do you think? Ever seen a building this grand before? Don't give up! Keep those eyes open! The wild Pokemon, they were everywhere, attacking from all sides. I sent out my partner Pokemon, but against the whole pack, outnumbered. This is what happens when you go so far afield, but the medical corps will push you to rights. You do realize that if you fail your trial and get flung out of the village, you could well die out there. Well, you might die even sooner than that if you have to take on this trial without a Pokemon to be your partner. Captain Silene, ma'am, I brought Bella. You may enter. So it's actually kind of... It's honestly awkward to do voices for these characters. I'm not even going to bother doing it. Now let's get straight to it. If you wish to join the Galaxy Expedition team, prove yourself capable by going out into the Obsidian Fieldlands and catching 3 different species of Pokémon: Bidoof, Starly, and Shinx. 3 species right away, but none of us have ever managed that. Did this stranger not catch 3 different Pokémon only yesterday? My trial should be simple enough for her, if the professor wasn't exaggerating things, that is. The Galaxy team does not have the means to provide for those who only take without giving. If you wish to stay, you must prove beyond any doubt that you'll be an asset to our cause. I will lend you one of our Survey Corps satchels to carry whatever you may need in the field. That, whatever it is you're wearing, doesn't suit our satchels in the least. Why? I'll expect you to step in if anything goes away. And there's our first mission, the Galaxy Team's Entry Trial. Whenever you get given a mission, you can push the plus button to activate the guide as like a tracker, so you can keep track of whichever missions you're doing. Pressing the Y button while consulting the map on your ARC phone, you can check any task you happen to have received. There are two types of these. One's known as missions, which are mandatory for the story, and the other is requests, which are side quests. Doing side quests are mandatorily known to give you rewards if you succeed in doing them. Some of them are easy, but not all of them. I am not going to be mandatorily focused on getting every single side quest done in the entire game. I do not have the patience for that. Now then, a jolly good morning to everyone. In order to complete our Pokédex and, well, simply survive in this unforgiving land, Bello absolutely must pass this trial. And as a professor of Pokémon, I've got just a ticket to help accomplish that. Go on, Bello. Pick the Pokémon that strikes your fancy. With a partner of your own, you'll be able to fight off wild Pokémon outside the village. These little darlings are very dear to me, but it's plain to see they're rather curious about you. Well, my girl, which Pokémon would you like to keep as your very own? Now, I actually do want to say this. This is actually going to be potentially mild spoilers or anything, but these starter Pokemon, kind of weird to be based on the Sinnoh region 1,000 years in the past, considering the fact that Cyndaquil is a Johto starter, Oshawott is a Unova starter, and Rowlet is an Alola starter. But these 3 Pokemon, they were known to have a certain evolution line. It is still the same, but there is a little bit of a minor difference, which I will go into detail at a certain point. As it comes to like whichever one of the 3 I want to select, I would choose Oshawott, but I've got him planned for a team in a different Pokemon LP sometime in the near future. And I am not choosing Cyndaquil because we had him in our Let's Play team back in Pokemon Heart Gold. Meaning, our partner is going to be Rowlet. Now, I'm going to save here ahead of time because, as often, I am known to oftentimes pick Pokemon as my starters or part of my team, and they always give me the worst Pokemon natures ever. And with that, one of the Pokemon you caught at Prelude Beach for me will now be yours to keep. Good show. I tucked Rowlet back inside his Pokeball for you, so take it. It's yours. If you are wondering about Cyndaquil and Oshawott, you will actually be able to get a chance to get them at a later point. A word of advice, my girl. Pay close attention to which Pokeballs are empty and which ones contain a Pokemon when you're out in the field. Looked like those two cheer on their pal Rowlet. Or maybe they just wanted to help Ella with their trial. Yeah. By the way, what species of Captain Saline charged you with catching? Well, that's smashing. All three of those species can be found in the Obsidian Fieldlands. Let me give you some Pokeballs to use during a trial then. We obtain 20 Pokeballs for our trouble. These Pokeballs may be handcrafted, but they work a treat as you've already seen. You'll have this trial cleared in no time. And we'll be shown the way to where the Obsidian Fieldlands are. But if I go into the bag, when we was actually told to catch Rowlet, Cyndaquil and Oshawott, we was given 50 Pokeballs. And now all of a sudden, it's gone significantly down to 20 because we had to give the remaining 46 Pokeballs back to the Pokemon Professor. Which, honestly, would have been helpful if we was allowed to keep the 46 Pokeballs, but whatever. We head down over here and we've got a certain somebody that Vi is talking to. Oh, what a curious get-up you have there. I can already tell you're quite the character. I'm Folo of the Ginkgo Guild, the go-to choice for any of your mercantile needs here in... I could not read that word for the life of me. But yeah, Folo. He looks a little bit suspicious, don't you think? I've heard talk about you. Fell from the sky, didn't you? Now that's certainly a tale I'd like to hear. Oh, and you've a Pokémon? You're certainly full of interesting surprises. Investigating the odd and novel is key to any good merchant's success. So, what do you say? How about you and I see our Pokémon stand up to one another in a battle? I like you better and better. What a delightful find. I've also heard about this trial you're to attempt. Let's have a quick battle to get your blood pumping before you head out. Though I hope you know you'll lose if your Pokemon's HP reaches 0. Listen to the music. Yeah, the reason why I wanted you to hear the music is because it sounds just like when you're battling the Sinnoh trainers, but in the past. That's why I was hoping to try and hold off in explaining that the Hisui region is basically the Sinnoh region from 1,000 years ago. Because I wanted you to wait until you actually heard the music. But too many Sinnoh quotes kept popping up one after another to the point where it was not easy to hide it anymore. I mean, also, this game had been out since January 2020. So, yeah. Actually, no. Sorry, not 2020. It's 2021, isn't it? Or 2022? It was 2022. Never mind. So yeah, it was released on the 28th of January, 2022. So that's 3 years ago almost. And I like how I said that I believe it was originally in 2020, which was 4 years ago, when we're in 2025 right now. Literally, today's date of this recording is January 5th, 2025. Anyway, a little bit, there's going to be a lot of stuff I'm going to be explaining about with Legends Arceus in particular, of the major differences. This one is a definite. The potion. In every single Pokemon game that we are aware of, the potion was actually known to heal a Pokemon's HP by 20. But in this game, it heals it up by 60. Which is exactly the same amount of HP restoration you get from a Super Potion in Generation 7 and onwards. And the Pokemon that Folo actually used in that battle that I remained silent on was actually Togepi. Togepi would originally be known as a normal type prior to Generation 5 and below. But the Hisui region is basically based on a Gen 8 game. So it's kind of awkward to actually say this, knowing the fact, like, this game is basically the Sinnoh region from 1,000 years ago. And when Sinnoh came out for the very first time ever, Togepi was known as a normal type Pokemon, but in this game it's known as a fairy type. So it's like fairy type existed 1,000 years ago, but then suddenly disappeared, and then when the Kalos region got debuted, it was brought back. Kind of like how it sounds, but a little bit awkward. But anyway, this is basically the entire Hisui map. You've got 5 given areas to explore, but only one of them we can highlight in a minute, which is Obsidian Fieldlands. If I zoom in, this is basically the proximity of what the area looks like. Everything will be grayscaled out, and it will only be registered as being seen, just like in this font, providing you have entered that particular segment of the map. So, we're going to head inside Obsidian Fieldlands and do our first mandatory mission. This is our base camp. It's where we start and finish our surveys. Now remember what you've got to do. You've been tasked with catching 3 species of Pokemon: Bidoof, Starly, and Shinx. I'm curious to see if the Professor's stories about you are really true. Oh, Professor, something wrong? Ah, well, you see, Captain Silene got hold of me after you left. She impressed upon me that I bear full responsibility for whatever happens to our sudden guest. She doesn't let up. How exactly are you supposed to help out here, Professor? To be honest, my dear boy, I don't intend to lift a finger. Bella's Hellas are the real deal. She'll pass with flying colours, you see. So, in other words, I'm still the one bearing the responsibility here. Not my ideal state of affairs. I do not get why he actually does that motion every time I start a new game with this, to be honest, but whatever. Let's just get started. You'll be more than equal to this, Bella. I'm not going to go too overboard with the tutorial here. It's basically going to be telling you about the whole inhabitants of the entire game. This is Aspiration Hill. Look, a Bidoof. we find. Gosh, I did not push any button there. You may be some sort of prodigy, but just in case, here's what Captain Saline taught me. Yeah, they are now telling you about how to auto-lock on any Pokemon that happens to be nearby. He will say that Bidoof is a mellow Pokemon, so you can approach it no problem without any consequences. So you can just approach him, say hi, and then just throw a Pokeball at him. And there you go. One Bidoof caught, now we march to the next Pokemon. Upon doing this, you will happen to come across certain stuff like this. This is an apricorn. Apricorns are commonly known to help you do certain stuff later on in the game. You can also see this tree over here. Press the X button to change into your Pokemon and throw the Pokemon's Pokeball at the tree and they will pick up items for you. They will gain experience upon doing this, but they will also increase their happiness as well. Certain Pokemon in this game are known to evolve by happiness, so keep that in note ahead of time. There's Starly. Now Starly here is the type to run at the drop of a hat. Makes sense because it is a bird. But not to worry. Crouch down in the grass and it will not spot you. That is how you can get close. So this is actually something I find a little bit interesting. Vi is teaching you how to get close to a Pokemon without them seeing you. But why does he keep saying that he has significant trouble with catching Pokemon if he knows how to do it? The only thing I can think of is he can't throw in a straight line. That's basically the whole gist of it. Now, the Starly was actually able to see me there, so it was actually trying to run away. If it does successfully run away from you, you do get another chance of catching another one. Now, what I just showed you about the tutorial about throwing Pokemon at these trees, he's now going to tell you about that tutorial. So the first tree we came across gave us more apricorns. This one gives you oranberries. Now oranberries in this game heal you for the same HP equivalent as a standard potion would have done. But in the original game, they would have been known to heal only 10 HP. So significant improvement there. There it is. It's Shinx. Shinx has an aggressive disposition. Did you know that already? Yep. That figures. Me, I have to focus on a Pokemon carefully to notice a thing like that. Once aggressive, the Pokemon get wound up. They'll knock away any Pokeball that you happen to throw at them. This is showing the definition of that catching cursor. If it is a green icon, the chances of you catching the Pokemon are significantly better. But this is the one thing I find kind of interestingly weird. It's telling you that if a Pokemon becomes agitated, anytime you throw a Pokeball at that Pokemon, it will not work. It will just bounce right off them. And the first thing it shows you is green icon, yellow icon, orange icon for when a Pokemon happens to be nearby that's interactable for you to be able to catch. But if you see that icon, it's the main important one. An X icon will appear above a Pokemon if it has picked a fight with you. If a Pokemon has picked a fight with you, you cannot catch the Pokemon at all unless you do one or two things. But we can only do one of those two things so far, which is to chuck your Pokemon at the So to chuck your Pokemon's Pokeball at the agitated Pokemon to interact with it in battle. So no matter what, he will automatically see you no matter... Yeah, he will see you no matter what. So, he's going to do this, and usually when a Pokemon is agitated like this, he will be known to attack you. Whenever you are behind the Pokemon, remember the backstrike technique. If you backstrike a Pokemon, you will have caught them unaware. Meaning, you hit them with a move, and you'll get the text, the Pokemon was caught unaware and was unable to move. Meaning, you get a second chance to do an attack before they get to do one. Now, something else that will be taught to you later on in the game. I'm going to be pushing the Y button. This is something known as an action order. Something you're probably similar with, something that you guys will be similar about in knowing with Final Fantasy. It shows the turn order of each Pokemon of who's going to be doing what at what given time. Obviously, it's a case of like, oh, I get to move first, then Shinx gets to move, then I get to move, then Shinx gets to move. Kind of normal for Pokemon, but in the modern Pokemon games, it was a case of whichever Pokemon was known to be faster was always guaranteed to move first no matter what. But in this case, they just do it in turn-based order, like any RPG would normally do. Just without regard of the speed stat. And upon catching the Shinx, you will automatically get taken straight back to Professor Laventon, and you'll go through the whole text dialogue in being told on what to do in order to show reports of what you have done. Now, we have gone significantly over the time limit. I mean, it's not like I was originally planning on this LP to be like 20-minute long episodes each and every episode. I was going to do 30 minutes again, just like I did for Brilliant Diamond. But, yeah. Eventually you should be able to have Pokemon you caught to live in the village pastures. The most Pokemon a person can have with them while exploring is 6, apparently. Not that we have anyone who can manage that. Come now, you two. Let's not dilly-dally. Captain Celine waits on our reporter headquarters. I can't wait to see the captain's reaction. Well, the reaction is going to take a very long time to be shown because we're going to be ending things off for this episode. Next time on Pokemon Legends Arceus, we're going to be showing our report to Captain Celine. See you guys then.